project. In this ROS2 tutorial, I will go over how to organize multiple launch files in a large project. We will be calling multiple launch files from one main launch file and use some tricks to handle changing parameters. We will go over the source code for each launch file and build the package and run the launch file. If you're new to my channel, I teach OpenCV, computer vision, Python, C++, Git, ROS2, SolidWorks, mechanical design, and I have a GitHub that goes along with it, so subscribe to learn more. So first off, you want to install the package tf2 for later use. It's going to be the sudo apt install ROS humble turtle tf2-py command. So this will install the package that you'll need. And we're going to move all of our launch files into our launch folder, which we created previously. So if you haven't already, go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at those files. The main launch file is going to be called the launch turtle sim launch.py. So that is our main launch file. So let's go ahead and start with that. We'll review the files first and then move it over. So let's take a look at this file. We have our includes here. So here we have a specific part, this part that we added, the launch dot actions, group actions, and push ROS namespace. This is required later on to specify the namespace in a launch file. Okay, so here we see we're returning the launch description. This is the usual structure. We're returning a turtle sim world 1, a world 2 with namespace, a world 3, a broadcast listener node, a mimic node, a fixed frame node, and an rvis node. So let's take a look at each one. So here we have the turtle sim world 1. So turtle sim world 1 is going to include launch description, and this is a path to our file. So we're going to be running the turtle sim 1 world 1 launch.py. So if we take a look at that, this is the file that we're actually launching. So inside of here, we have some launch arguments. So we have the background RGB value. So this is set up right here. And then after we set it up, we're going to be doing a node we're going to be returning that into our launch description. So for our node, we have the turtle sim node, and we have the name along with our parameters. Okay, so if we go ahead and go back to our file, so that was our turtle world, and then now we have our turtle sim world 2 with namespace. So this one with namespace is a special part that we added. So this part, if we had the same way we did for turtle sim 1, so here we have a turtle sim world 2, but now it's called turtle sim world 2 with namespace. So here we can actually declare the namespace inside, as we see here, push ROS namespace turtle sim 2, and then inside we're actually going to be calling turtle sim world 2. So inside our turtle sim world 2, this is where we're calling the launch file turtle sim world 2 launch.py. So if we take a look at this file, so this is the part that we're changing. So before we had a namespace, but now we're removing the namespace. And here we actually include a config and turtlesim.yaml file. So here our turtlesim.yaml file will do some of our parameter settings for us. So here we have this YAML file has a /**. So this will set up our ROS parameters inside the YAML file. So if we come back here, you can see that we have specified our namespace in a different way. So instead of specifying in the original launch file of the turtle sim world, we're specifying inside this main launch file. Okay, so for our launch, the third one for turtle sim world 3, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So this one here, we're actually also using the YAML file here, but the difference with this one is we're declaring the namespace here. So even though this uses the same parameters, notice that because we're using what's called the wildcard in our turtle sim, this wildcard syntax works for all node names and namespaces. So this will allow us to change the parameters for both worlds 3 and 2. So if we come back here, we have the broadcast listener nodes. So this is our other one that we're using. So this one we will be calling our broadcast listener launch.py. So here we could take a look at that, our broadcast listener launch.py. So What this one will do is do some of our TF2s that we will be using. So you can see we're returning our launch description. We declare a launch argument here, which is the target frame, and the nodes we have turtle TF2 pi. This one is a broadcaster. This is broadcaster 1, and we have a broadcaster 2. And then here we have a listener, and that will be the listener for our main broadcaster. So we come back here, that was our broadcast, and then we have a mimic node. So for our mimic node, we're calling the mimic launch.py. So inside our mimic launch.py, it's a pretty simple one. We're just returning the node, package, turtlesim, executable mimic, and this will do our mapping for us that goes from one turtle to the other. So we go back into our main launch file, we see that the next one we have is a fixed frame node. So this fixed frame node is in the fix broadcaster launch.py. So inside of here, we see that we have a declare launch argument, node prefix. So this is the prefix, node prefix that we have. And then the node that we're actually running is going to come from the turtle tf2 pi, and our executable is a fixed frame tf2 broadcaster. So going back to here, our last one is the arvis node. So this will start up arvis. So we have the turtlesim arvis launch.py file. So if we take a look at that, we're going to see this. What this does is we have some arvis config to get our path ready. And then here we have arvis2, our executables arvis2, and then our arguments is the arvis config, which will set up our configuration. So this will start up arvis for us. So that's pretty much all of the nodes that we are running and returning in our launch description. So let's go ahead and copy everything over, and then except our YAML will go to another folder. So gonna go ahead and copy this, and we will paste it into our launch folder. So here we're gonna go ahead and paste all of it. And then if we go back to our README, then we're gonna see that what we wanna do is move the YAML file into our config folder. So by default, there's no config folder. So what that means, we need to create a config here. So if we go back down, we want to go ahead and copy our YAML file, and then we want to paste it into our config. So now we have our config in there. Okay, so now we're going to update our setup.py file. So if we go inside here, we're going to copy this and then go to our setup.py file in our launch folder, our launch tutorials. We're gonna replace that. And the thing that we added here was this config step. So this will find our config folder. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and build our package. So we're gonna go to our workspace and run the colon build command. And then after it's done building, we could go ahead and run our launch file. So we're gonna go ahead and source it and then run the launch. And you can see here we have our turtlesim nodes up and running. We have one drawing circles. And then here is our arvis. You can see our frame is being updated as the turtle is drawing. Okay, so you can see these are our frames like we specified in our commands. Okay, so here it's saying it hit a wall, but if we expand it out, you see it can keep drawing. Okay, so in our next video, we're going to talk about TF2 coordinate frame transforms. So if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.